Hello students, welcome to module 7 of the part 7 of the module on linear algebra. In this module we are going to discuss a very important topic, namely the eigenvalue problem. Okay, so in general you know that we have discussed several times in this course that if you have a linear operator A and if it operates on a vector x, it gives rise to another vector in general. Okay, this is called a linear transformation, right? This is called a linear transformation. This is something that we have discussed quite a few times in the last few modules. So in general, if I take an operator A and operate it on a vector x, and you get another vector y in general. Okay, so this output vector, so to speak, will in general be a stretched or rotated version of the input vector x. If the input vector in the geometric sense, if it is oriented like this, the output vector may be like this. The operator would have rotated and contracted, or if the input vector is like this, the output vector may be like this. So this is x, this is y, and this is x, this is y. So many things might happen, right, when you operate a vector with a linear operator. Okay, so but there are some special operators. Suppose I take the identity operator, which is like the equivalent of the identity matrix. If by definition, if I operate an identity operator on a vector, you get back the same vector. Okay, this is the same vector, and this is the identity operator, which is in a given basis, it will be like an identity matrix 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 and so on. So ones in the diagonal and zeros elsewhere. Now we are going to ask a question, that is there a special non-trivial operator, okay, or put it another way, other than identity operator, if you have an arbitrary operator A, which is not an identity operator or a multiple of the identity operator, can this operator operate on some vector x and it gives rise to the same vector x times a multiple? Okay, that multiple is some scalar. Okay, so is it possible for a vector A, which is not an identity operator, to operate on to an operator A, which is not an identity operator, to operate on a vector x to give rise to the same vector x, which can be either stretched or contracted? Okay, these vectors are somewhat special because any vector, if you operate the linear operator on any vector, you will get some other vector. But there are some special vectors which, upon operated by the operator, linear operator, gives rise to the same vector multiplied by a constant, scalar constant. Okay, such special vectors are called eigenvectors. The word eigen in German means special, so eigenvector means a special vector. Okay, so what we are interested in is, if you have a matrix A, right, if I operate it on a vector x, the special vector eigenvector, I get back the same vector multiplied by a scalar lambda. That scalar is called the eigenvalue. This is called the eigenvalue. This is a special value, and the vector, a corresponding vector, is called the eigenvector. Okay, suppose I have an n-dimensional space, right? Suppose I have an n-dimensional space, right? In general, the operator A will have n eigenvectors xi and corresponding to eigenvalues lambda I. Okay, so you should have n in general. If you have an n-dimensional space, you should have n independent eigenvectors, and with lambda i's as the corresponding eigenvalues. The lambda i's need not be distinct. Okay, they need not be distinct. They can be repeated as well. Okay, so if I were to write this expression, this is called the eigen problem in a given basis. What would I do? Let's say I have a given basis. So in that given basis, it's an n-dimensional space, so I have some linearly independent vectors ei, okay, or orthogonal vectors ei, right? If I have that basis, then I'm going to substitute simply that out here. So this is simply xi ei is equal to lambda I times xi ei. You see the reason why I'm writing lambda. Okay, right now let's even keep it as lambda, but you will eventually see that lambda is not a single number, there can be many numbers. Okay, now this is a linear operator, so this is summation, the operator can go in. So this is summation xi aei is equal to lambda summation xi ei. Now if I want to find out the component xk from this equation, right, what I will do, or xj from this equation, I will take an inner product with respect to ej, right? Take inner product. Okay, so what I will get, I am not writing I is equal to 1 to n in all steps to save time. That is implicit, it's an n-dimensional space, so the summation will involve I going from 1 to n, right? So this will become xi, right, times, I'm taking inner product with respect to ej times aei is lambda n to n xi. Okay, let's further assume that the basis vectors ei are orthonormal. Okay, that means ei ej is delta ij. Okay, let's assume that the basis vectors are orthonormal. Okay, so that means that this term is delta ij. So the right side would then become this delta ij with a summation will give you xj. Okay, and what happens here, if you look at this term, okay, this is the projection of a matrix in the projection of the linear operator A in this basis. So ej a ei is the ijth component of a matrix A in the n-dimensional space. So I've told you already that just as an abstract vector looks like a column vector in a given basis, a matrix, linear operator looks like a matrix in a given basis. Okay, so let me write this again. So this equation becomes summation a, okay, this is just a matter of notation, so aji, j comes first, so I'm writing aji, so aji xi is equal to this is simply lambda xj. Okay, so if you know the elementary matrix multiplication rules, you will realize that this is nothing but a dot x is lambda x, where A is an n by n matrix whose components are given by this, and x is a column vector. So this here x is a column vector, x1 so on up to xn. So this is a matrix version of the eigenvalue problem. You see, this expression ax is lambda x is an abstract version. When I represent it in a given basis, then this takes the form of a matrix problem, ax is equal to lambda x. This is called an eigenvalue problem. Okay, so let's go to the next page. So the matrix eigenvalue problem in a given basis therefore is simply given by ax is equal to lambda x. Lambdas are called the eigenvalues, and these column vectors are called the corresponding column vectors are called the eigenvectors, okay, in the given basis. Okay, so one important thing about eigenvectors is that you can multiply. Suppose I take the abstract notation, ax is equal to lambda x, right? I can multiply this equation by any scalar. So I can write a times some cx is lambda times cx. This is again, so cx is again an eigenvector of this equation. So that means that eigenvectors do not have a specified length. Their length is arbitrary. They only represent special directions in the n-dimensional space, because I can always multiply the eigenvector by any scalar, or whether that is multiply or divide, it depends on the magnitude of the scalar, right, the way you look at it, right. So you can always change the length of eigenvector simply by multiplying, and the eigenvalue relation still holds, right, because it's a homogeneous equation. Therefore it is easy for you to see that you can multiply the eigenvector by any scalar and still remains an eigenvector. Okay, so what we normally do is we normalize eigenvectors such that if I take an eigenvector, take its Hermitian conjugate, the dot product, that is, it should be 1. That is, if I have x1, this is xn, then x1 star, x2 star, xn star. I will make sure that the eigenvalue, a given eigenvector satisfies this condition, that if I take its own norm or dot product with itself, inner product with itself, it becomes 1. Or this is just a matter of convenience, or in the abstract inner product notation, this is in vector notation, this is in inner product notation. Okay, so any eigenvector therefore can be normalized by simply dividing it by, you take any eigenvector and you divide all its components by this, then this will ensure that this is 1. Okay, now we have this matrix, this is 1. We have this matrix equation, A minus lambda I is 0. Okay, sorry, before I do that, we had Ax minus, so Ax is equal to lambda x. I can also write this as Ax is equal to lambda times the identity matrix times x. Okay, identity matrix times x is simply x. I pull this to the other side, so I get A minus lambda I operating on x is 0. So this is like a system of linear equations, but this is a system of linear homogeneous equations. We'll come to linear equations shortly after finishing eigenvalue problem and few related topics in linear algebra. We'll of course come to solution of linear equations, and we'll spend a module or two on that. But therein you will find that we will discuss that in order to have a non-trivial solution. What do you mean by non-trivial solution? Non-trivial solution means the vector x is not a zero vector. See, if you look at this equation, x equal to 0 is always a solution because there is nothing on the right hand side. That is called a trivial solution. So for vector x which are not 0 vectors, such solutions are called non-trivial solutions. And x is equal to 0 vector. 0 vector is what? Is nothing but 0 all the way, just has 0 as its entries, is called a trivial solution. Okay, so we are interested in non-trivial solution. In order to have non-trivial solution for non-trivial eigenvectors, we require that determinant of A minus lambda I must be 0. Okay, now if you set the determinant of A minus lambda I equal to 0, you will get an nth order polynomial in lambda, which is called the characteristic equation. And upon solution you will get, in principle you should get n eigenvalues, but of course sometimes eigenvalues may be repeated, but in principle you should get n eigenvalues, right? And once you find the eigenvalues, you can go and find the eigenvectors. I'll come to how to I'll work out a couple of examples a little bit later as to how to find the eigenvalues and eigenvectors. But right now I'm going to discuss some general properties of eigenvalues and eigenvectors, some observations on the eigenproblem. Okay. Okay. Now first note that A is a square matrix of order n by n in an n dimensional space, right? This is, let me write it clearly, it's n by n. Okay. So if I have Ax is equal to lambda x, I can do one thing. I can multiply both sides by A, right? So this will become, lambda is a scalar, so it comes out lambda times Ax. Okay. Now this is nothing but, the left side can be written as A times A is A squared x, but Ax is lambda x, so this becomes lambda squared x, because Ax is nothing but lambda x, right? That is the definition of the eigenvalue problem. Therefore the eigenvalues of the square of a matrix are simply the square of the eigenvalues of the original matrix A. If I have a matrix A with eigenvalues lambda, then the eigenvalues of the matrix A squared are lambda squared. And similarly I can generalize it to any mth power A to the m x is equal to lambda to the power m x. So the eigenvalues, so m can go from 1, 2, 3. The eigenvalues of A to the m matrix are the eigenvalues of the matrix A lambda raised to the power m, where m is positive, okay, positive integer. Now let's go one step further. Suppose I have Ax is equal to lambda x. I'm going to multiply by the inverse, pre-multiply by the inverse of A on both sides, is equal to lambda A inverse x. What is A inverse A? By definition, this is identity. So identity times x is equal to lambda A inverse x. Identity times x is simply x is equal to, I'm pulling this lambda here, lambda A inverse x. Or if I rewrite this, I'll get A inverse x, sorry, is 1 over lambda times x, or I can write this as A inverse x is lambda to the minus 1 x. So if lambda is an eigenvalue of A, then 1 over lambda is the eigenvalue of A inverse. And similarly you can show that if I raise this to the power m, then I'll simply get lambda to the minus mx. Okay. So this relation is therefore very, very general. It's regardless. So if I say A to the power jx, let me write it properly, is equal to lambda to the power jx. This is j can be either positive or negative integer. Okay. Suppose I multiply this by some scalar alpha, so this becomes alpha j A to the power jx is alpha j lambda to the power j, lambda is the eigenvalue to the, which is a scalar, times x. Okay. So I can imagine doing this for different j's and then summing it. So j is equal to minus m to j is equal to n. Okay, right? Alpha j aj is nothing but summation j is equal to minus m to n alpha j lambda to the power j x. Okay, I have to have x here. Okay, and m and n are positive integers. Okay, what does this mean? That if I have a polynomial of a matrix, I can have a polynomial q of a. This defines like a polynomial, right? It's a matrix polynomial, right? Then if I construct a polynomial out of A, if lambda is the eigenvalue of A, then the eigenvalue of the polynomial Q of A is nothing but you take the functional form of the polynomial and substitute lambda, and that will become the eigenvalue, because that's how this is coming out to be, right? If you rewrite this, right, if you rewrite this as Q times Q of A times X, right, Q of A operating on X, this is nothing but Q of lambda operating on X, right? So the eigenvalue of Q of A becomes Q of lambda. So this is a very useful property to have. Okay, so now so these are some general properties of eigenvalues. Now I'm going to look at, I'm still not going to tell you how to work out some examples using eigenvalues. I'm going to discuss some general results concerning eigenvalues and eigenvectors. I'm going to consider a special class of matrices called normal matrices. What are normal matrices? Normal matrices are such that A dagger A is the same as A dagger. Okay, so Hermitian matrices, or in the real version symmetric matrices, unitary matrices, the real versions orthogonal matrices, they are all normal matrices, because they will satisfy this criterion. Why? Because if A is A dagger, that is Hermitian, then A dagger A is the same as A dagger, because everything is the same. So you can see that it is the same, right? So these are therefore a class of matrices which encompass all these special matrices, and we want to know if a matrix is normal, which includes all these subclasses, what can we say about the eigenvalues and eigenvectors of such a normal matrix, right? So let's say A is a normal matrix. Okay, in the sense that it satisfies this condition. So I am going to consider the eigenvalue problem of a normal matrix now. I am going to look at what special criteria are satisfied by the eigenvalues and eigenvectors of such normal matrices. Let B is equal to A minus lambda I. Let's call the matrix B as A minus lambda I, right? So this equation, this is the eigen problem. This becomes Bx is 0. Okay, then I can also take the Hermitian conjugate, Bx the whole dagger is 0. That means X dagger B dagger is 0. Okay, Bx is 0, X dagger B dagger is 0. So I can write X dagger B dagger B X is 0. I'm simply multiplying these two equations to get this. Now I'm going to consider what is B dagger B. I'm not going to put the matrix symbol for each and every steps, because to save time, but you understand that B is now a matrix. So what is B? B is A minus lambda I whole dagger, then multiplied by A minus lambda I. Okay, this is nothing but A dagger minus lambda star, the complex conjugate I, times A minus lambda I. So if I expand this, this becomes A dagger A, okay, minus lambda star A minus lambda A dagger plus lambda star. Okay, but A dagger A, because the matrix is normal, A dagger A is the same as A dagger. So I can rewrite this as, right, so we are still looking at what is B dagger B, which is nothing but A dagger, okay, minus lambda star A minus lambda A dagger plus lambda star. This is the same as A minus lambda I multiplied by A minus lambda I whole dagger, which is B dagger. So B dagger B is the same as B dagger. Sorry about this. That is, if A is normal, so is A minus lambda I. Okay, where lambda i's are the eigenvalues. But we originally had, if you remember from here, we had this expression, right? We had this expression. So we had x dagger B dagger B Bx is 0, but B dagger B here is the same as B dagger. We just showed this here, right? That means I can rewrite this as x dagger B dagger x is 0. This can be rewritten as B dagger x the whole dagger times B dagger x is 0. B dagger x is a vector. Okay, B is an operator or matrix, and B operating on a vector x will give another vector. So this is nothing but, let's call B dagger x as z. So this is nothing but z dagger times z, which is 0, right? This means that this is nothing but the inner product of the vector z with itself is 0. That means the vector itself has 0 norm, so it has to be a 0 vector. That is, we have shown that B dagger x is 0. Okay, or what is B dagger? A dagger minus lambda star I, lambda star I x is 0, right? Or A dagger is equal to lambda star x. Okay, so first thing, we have assumed that A is a normal matrix, so that it given by, I'm sorry about this, there has to be x here. That is Ax, A is normal, that is A dagger is A dagger A. This is the definition of normal matrix. Then we consider its eigenvalue problem. Ax is lambda x, where lambdas are the eigenvalues of A. If lambdas are the eigenvalues of normal matrix A, then the eigenvalues of its Hermitian conjugate A dagger are lambda stars, the complex conjugates. These are the complex conjugates of the original eigenvalue lambda. So this is a very useful and interesting property. That is, if you have a normal matrix and if it satisfies an eigenvalue problem, if you ask the question, what is the eigenvalue, what are the eigenvalues of the Hermitian conjugate of the normal matrix A, then they turn out to be its complex conjugates. So it's a very, very simple and nice result. Okay, so the other thing we want to show is the following. So let's just write down, if A is normal, A is a normal matrix, then the eigenvalues of A dagger are the conjugates of A. Okay, now suppose I consider A is again normal. We are still sticking to normal matrices. You have the eigenvalue problem. Axi is lambda I xi, and you consider another eigenvector Axj is lambda j xj. Okay, so I'm going to multiply equation 2 by xi the whole dagger on the left. That is, you pre-multiply. Okay, so xi whole dagger I'm denoting eigenvectors like this. Axi is equal to lambda j xi whole dagger Similarly, this xi also is like this. Okay, whole dagger times xj. Okay, now what is axi? Axi is nothing but lambda axi. So this is not I'm sorry, I just made a small mistake, because let's just take a step back for a second. I'm multiplying this by xi dagger on the left, so I'll get xi dagger axj is lambda j xi dagger xj. Okay, this is what I'll get. Now axj is nothing but lambda j xj. So what I'll get therefore is nothing but okay, hold on, this can be written as a dagger xi whole dagger. Okay, a dagger xi whole dagger will be xi whole dagger times a dagger whole dagger, but a dagger whole dagger is a. Okay, so xj is equal to, now I'll come to the right side in a minute, let's just work with the left side. Now a dagger xi is nothing but, we just showed that the eigenvalues of the Hermitian conjugate of a normal matrix are simply lambda star, so it's lambda star xi the whole dagger xj. Okay, so this is nothing but lambda, so let's just put I, because axi is lambda xi. So if I take lambda star whole dagger, it will become simply lambda I, and then this will remain xi dagger xj. Now I'm coming here, this is nothing but lambda j xi dagger xj. See, this part is identical, so I can take common lambda I minus lambda j xi dagger xj is 0. So this means that if I have two distinct eigenvalues, if lambda I is not equal to lambda j, then I can only say that xi dagger should be orthogonal to xj, so that is xi xj is 0. All we are saying is that if I have a normal matrix A, the eigenvectors corresponding to distinct eigenvalues of a normal matrix are orthogonal. So let me write this. What we have shown is that the eigenvectors corresponding to distinct eigenvalues are orthogonal. So of course this is for a normal matrix. This is very important. Okay, so what is the advantage? The advantage is that if I have a normal matrix, right, if I have a normal matrix A, then if I solve its eigenvalue problem, I am bound to get n in an n-dimensional space. I am bound to get n orthogonal eigenvectors. These orthogonal eigenvectors can be used to represent any vector y in terms of, you can trivially normalize them as well, so you can write this as ai xi. Okay, so I'm sorry, eigenvectors I'm using superscript, so x1 to xn. Okay, so there are, in an n-dimensional space, if the matrix A is normal, then it is bound to give, by this proof, n orthogonal eigenvectors which can be normalized. So you will get a set of orthonormal eigenvectors, and you can expand any vector in that n-dimensional space in terms of these eigenvectors. Okay, now what are the coefficients ai? Of course you know how to get, right? ai, you have to take inner product on, because xi's are orthonormal, you can take inner products with respect to on both sides with respect to x, I mean, to be clear, let's say aj with respect to xj, and then because these are not orthonormal, you will get xj operating on y. Okay, this is nothing but xj in matrix notation, xj dagger y. So these are the coefficients of the expansion. Okay, so this is very useful idea, that if you have a matrix, a normal matrix whose eigenvalue problem generates n linearly independent, n is to be specific, n orthogonal eigenvectors. This is normal matrix. Then these eigenvectors form a basis for expansion of any vector in that n-dimensional space. Okay, so now another important idea for a normal matrix is called its spectral resolution. Let me write it clearly. It's called its spectral resolution. What do we mean by this? Let's understand. Let's first write what is spectral resolution. I have a normal matrix. I am restricting myself to normal matrices here of a normal matrix, right? A can be written as, if A is a normal matrix, A can be written in terms of its eigenvalues lambda I and eigenvectors xi in this fashion. So how do you show? So let's give a simple proof. It's okay. So I'm going to operate on with y on both sides. Okay, where y itself is a vector which is represented in terms of ai xi. Okay, right? So ay is simply I is equal to 1 to n lambda I xi xi dagger y. Okay, now if you look at the previous discussion, xj dagger y is aj, that means xi dagger y is ai, right? So what is this term? This term is simply ai, right? So here I would substitute a times, right, summation ai xi is nothing but summation ai, this whole thing is ai lambda I xi. Okay, now this is a linear operator. I can take this in, so this is nothing but a xi summation ai lambda I xi, but lambdas are the eigenvalues of the matrix A, normal matrix A, so a xi is nothing but lambda I xi, so this is lambda I xi. In the left side, that's the same as what you have in the right side. So both LHS and RHS are the same. That means that you can represent a matrix, a normal matrix A, in terms of a summation involving its eigenvalues lambda I and eigenvectors. This is called the spectral resolution of a normal matrix. Note that not all matrices can be resolved. Definitely a normal matrix can be written in terms of its eigenvalues and eigenvectors. That's such a decomposition is called a spectral resolution of a normal matrix. Now we'll come to some special classes of normal matrices. Let's consider Hermitian matrices or Hermitian operators. What are Hermitian operators? Right, Hermitian operators are A is A dagger, which includes, for real matrices it becomes a symmetric matrix. We know that Ax is equal to lambda x. If A is a normal matrix, then A dagger x is lambda star x. We showed just now that if lambdas are eigenvalues of A, and if A is normal, then the eigenvalues of A dagger are lambda star, the complex conjugates of lambda. But if I equate, if A is A dagger, if it's a Hermitian matrix, A becomes A dagger, that means lambda should be lambda star, or that means that lambdas are real. So the eigenvalues of a Hermitian matrix are real eigenvalues. See, what is nice about this proof, or sorry, this theorem, is that the Hermitian matrix itself might have complex entries, but the fact that it is Hermitian guarantees that always the eigenvalues are real. It's a very, very important and of course in any for any normal matrix, eigenvectors are orthogonal. So, and the eigenvectors are orthogonal. So this is a very, very important concept in matrix linear algebra. Why is this important? It's important in quantum mechanics. You know that the laws governing tiniest of particles like atoms and electrons and molecules is quantum mechanics, the laws of quantum mechanics. There, if you have a physical quantity like energy or angular momentum, you don't you don't specify a scalar number, you specify an operator for each physical observable. So energy has an operator, angular momentum will have an operator, a linear operator. But because energy is a measurable physical quantity, right, therefore of course the eigenvalues of these operators correspond to the measured physical quantities in quantum mechanics, and we make sure that these the operators are Hermitian operators because you want the measurable values, observables, to be real numbers or real quantities. They should not be complex quantities. So Hermitian operators or Hermitian matrices play a very, very important role in the subject of quantum mechanics. Okay, so just like you have Hermitian matrix, you also have an anti-Hermitian matrix. What is an anti-Hermitian matrix? A dagger is minus A. Okay, so this is also a normal matrix. Why? Because A dagger A is A times minus A. That's the same as A dagger as A dagger. A dagger is A times minus A because A dagger is minus A, which is the same as minus A times A. I can pull the minus sign. That is the same as A dagger A. So anti-Hermitian matrices are also normal matrices. Okay, so if I have Ax is lambda x, okay, then we know that for normal matrices A dagger x is lambda star x, but if A is minus A dagger, then lambda becomes minus lambda star. This means that lambdas are purely imaginary or 0. Okay, these are called anti-Hermitian matrices. Okay, so I will stop here at this point, and we'll continue along the same lines about more special properties of special classes of matrices and the properties of their eigenproblems and so on. So I'll stop here, and we'll see you again in the next module.